All right, let's just jump right in. When I say the word prenup, what's the first thing that pops into your head? You know, for a lot of people, it sounds like a bad omen, right? Like you're planning for divorce before you've even picked out the wedding cake. But what if we've been looking at it all wrong? Today, let's reframe this whole idea. Think of a prenup not as an escape plan, but as a financial blueprint, something you build together to create a really strong and transparent partnership right from the start.
So if you're heading toward marriage, I've got a question for you. What are your financial rules? And you might be thinking, well, we haven't made any yet. But here's the thing, you actually have. The moment you get married in a state like California, the state basically hands you a pre-written financial contract. You're opted in automatically. The real question is it the contract you would have written for yourselves?
So here's how we're going to break this down. First, we'll look at California's default rules, the ones you get automatically. Then we'll talk about how you can design your very own agreement. We'll get into what a prenup can actually cover, what makes it legally solid, and finally, we'll try to help you figure out if this is a tool that even makes sense for you and your partner.
Okay, let's start with those default settings. Think about it like this. Getting married in California is like getting a new phone. It comes with a financial operating system already installed, whether you bother to read the terms and conditions or not.
And that default operating system, it's called community property. The rule is actually pretty simple, but it's incredibly powerful. It means almost everything you earn, everything you buy, and every debt you take on during your marriage is considered 50-50. We're talking your salary, the house you buy, and yep, even that huge credit card bill your partner might rack up. It's the state's one-size-fits-all plan for every single couple.
But what happens when one-size-fits-all doesn't actually fit you? Well, that is exactly where the idea of designing your own agreement comes into play. You literally have the power to say no thanks to the default and build a custom plan that's tailored for your life. And this slide just lays out that choice so clearly. On one side, you've got the state's default setting, community property, where the government sets the rules for your money. On the other side, you've got your prenup, where you and your partner sit down and make those decisions together. It's really the difference between using a generic template versus creating your own custom design.
So at its core, that's all a prenup is. It's a legal document that lets you and your partner set your own financial terms for your life together. It's really about communication, about creating total clarity on how you want to handle money, both as a team and as individuals.
So if you're going to build your own custom financial blueprint, what can you actually put in it? Well, it turns out the scope is way broader than most people think.
You can spell out exactly how property gets divided. You can decide what happens with the family business. You can clarify which assets you're bringing into the marriage stay yours no matter what. You can also set terms for spousal support, decide who's responsible for which debts, and even outline financial roles during the marriage. See, this is not just about planning for a split. It's about setting clear expectations for your financial life together, right now. Now, of course, a blueprint is totally useless if it's not up to code, right? For a prenup to actually hold up in court, it has to be built correctly, and there are some very, very specific rules you have to follow. And here they are, the 5 absolute non-negotiables. First, it's got to be in writing, no handshake deals. Second, both of you have to sign it willingly, without any pressure or coercion. Third, it has to be fair, not completely lopsided. And this next one, this is a biggie. You both have to provide full, honest, and complete financial disclosure. If you hide assets, you don't just risk trust, you could make the whole agreement totally worthless. And finally, it's got to be signed and witnessed properly under California law. You miss just one of these steps, and the whole thing could fall apart.
Okay, so who actually needs one of these? There's this myth out there that prenups are just for billionaires and celebrities. But honestly, that's just not true. They can be a really practical tool for all sorts of couples.
Just think about it. Does one of you own a business? Do you have kids from a previous relationship that you want to provide for? Is one of you bringing a lot of student loan debt into the marriage? In all those cases, a prenup can provide some really important clarity. It's also super useful if there's a big difference in your incomes or assets, just to make sure you have a plan in place that feels fair and right for both of you.
And that, right there, is the heart of it. A good prenup isn't a weapon for one person to use against the other. No way. When it's done right, with open communication, with fairness, it's more like a shield. It's a shield that protects both of you by making sure you're on the same page from the very beginning.
So I'll leave you with this final thought. Think about it. We spend months, sometimes years, planning a wedding that lasts one day. But how much time do we spend planning the financial foundation for a partnership that could last 50 years?
It seems kind of backwards, right? So maybe, just maybe, the most important and empowering financial conversation you can ever have is the one you have before you say I do.